Now I'm going to talk about what's new for setup sheets for 2015. So the parameters are now can be used across all of the templates. They're no longer template specific. So we've got a whole list of new parameters, and you can find that list at Help, Parameters, Setup Sheet Summary. So we've got a list here of all of our new parameters that can be used within any of our setup sheet templates. So first of all, I'm just going to write my toolpath file only. So I'll make sure I go to paths. I've only got toolpath.html that's going to be printed, and I'm going to say setup sheets preview. And we can have a look and see what that looks like. Okay, so I'm just going to go to my toolpath.html and open it with Notepad. I'm going to pop this on one side of my screen here and this on the other so we can see them next to each other. So we've got our name, a tool number, we've got the type, diameter, whatnot. So for example, what if we wanted to add a few more parameters in here? So what I can do is, you can see here we've got TR, which is our table row, TH, which is our table header, and TD, which is our table data. So I want to add in a couple of parameters into this list. So I'm just going to copy and paste these last two rows. And then I want to add some information in. So I'm going to go to my PowerMIll. And first of all, I'm going to just edit one of my tools. I'm actually going to create a shank. So I'm going to give it a lower diameter of 23.95 and an upper diameter of 33.95. And you're going to see why I've used these values in a moment. So you can see we've got our tool shank shown here. And I want to add these values in, so I want to show the upper and lower shank diameters. So I can go to Help, Parameters, Setup Sheet Summary, and I'm just going to scroll down. So I've got tool.shank upper. So within here, I'm going to say shank diameter upper. Then I can input tool dot shank upper. I'm going to do the same here with the lower. So shank diameter lower, and here I'll put shank lower. So I just got these from my parameters list. I'm going to save that, and I'm going to go and see what that looks like on my setup sheet. So I'm just going to preview that page. If I scroll down, you can see, I'll just bring this across, we've got shank diameter upper 33.95, shank diameter lower 23.95. But you can see these have not been included in this table here, so that looks a bit disjointed. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 values here, and I've just added 2 more in. So if I go over to here, we can see table data row span, and I've got 6. I'm going to change that value to 8 and see if we can incorporate these values within this table as well. So I've saved that, and I'm just going to regenerate my setup sheet. So you can see now those values have been included in there. The reason I've used these funny numbers here, 33.95 and 23.95 for my upper and lower shank diameter, is because I wanted to show that you can use macro functions within setup sheets now. So what I'm going to do is round up these values to their nearest integer. So within here I can type int bracket tool dot shank upper, and then I'll close that bracket, and if I say save, so this is a macro function which can now be used within PowerMILL setup sheets across all of the templates. We can use any other function as well. I'll just preview that, and you can see the shank diameter upper has gone to its integer. Now if I wanted it to actually go to the closest integer, because it was actually 33.95, all I need to do is put a plus 0.5 in there, and then you can see I'll just copy it down across. Integer, open bracket, plus 0.5, close bracket. I'm going to save that, and these will now be rounded up to their nearest integer. So I could use the round function instead of the nearest integer for this as well. So we've got 34 and 24. What I can also do, for example, some customers would like to show the tool radius as opposed to the tool diameter. So I can go in here and I can change this to radius, and then over here we've got tool diameter, and I can say times by 0.5, save that, and then preview it. So before we had 16, and now we've got the radius of 8. We can find a list of these macro functions if we go to help, parameters, reference, and then if I just go down to the bottom and go to functions, here we've got a list of functions that are used in macros that can now be used within setup sheets. And it's worth pointing out at this point, these functions for macros can be used in setup sheets, but not all of our setup sheet parameters that are listed here in setup sheet summary, these cannot be used within macros.